Hello world and welcome back to another video. This time we're coming at you from New Zealand, but on the South Island. Now our first stop in the South Island of New Zealand wasn't really a stop, it was traveling through the Queen Charlotte beautiful sound there. The Inter-Islander ferry I heard leaves Wellington and crosses the channel, heads into the Queen Charlotte Sound, and it's just gorgeous. It's this deep aquamarine blue water, forests rising right out of the sea, greenery everywhere, islands, fjords. So what a wonderful way to get to the South Island. The South Island of New Zealand is famous for its vineyards, so we wanted to check some out, and we wanted to make sure they were kind of family friendly, so there'd be something for the kids to do while we were sampling a fine Sauvignon Blanc. So Spy Vineyards was great. They didn't disappoint. They had some fun activities for the kids, and it's just in a beautiful setting. So get yourself some wine from Spy Vineyards and check out this clip. Another find in the South Island was really cool for Sabine, and this was the World of Wearable Art. The World of Wearable Art is a fashion design competition. About 40 countries enter into the design competition, and anything goes as long as it's wearable and well executed, are the exact terms I believe. And there's a museum in Nelson, New Zealand, that holds kind of all the items from that year's competition. So the items are changed out every year. And in addition to all of the wearable art, there's also an attached car museum. So it really has something for everybody. After Nelson, we headed to Kai Teri Teri. Kai Teri Teri is sort of the gateway town to the Abel Tasman National Park. This national park sits on the extreme northwestern tip of the South Island. And even though you're in New Zealand and you're pretty far away from the equator, so it's a little chillier, it has this sort of tropical look to it. Beautiful clear water and really light colored sandy beaches. So Abel Tasman is a beautiful spot, and Kai Teri Teri is a great way to access it.
How'd it go?
From Kai Teri Teri, we were also able to get the sea shuttle. This shuttle lets you work your way up through the Abel Tasman Park. It has a few different stops where you can hop on or hop off so that you can visit some secluded coves that are only accessible by boat. Do some hikes in those. So we had a great time checking out a few different spots along the coast. Living in the camper van is interesting. Sometimes we stay at very, very basic facilities where it's really just a stop off the road and there's nothing there at all. Sometimes we stay at ones that have some basic facilities like a bathroom and running water. And then sometimes we stay at some that are a bit more posh. They're almost like a hotel in what they have to offer. So you're still sleeping in the camper van, of course, but they have a pool, playground, bikes for kids to ride, activity rooms, spots where you can cook dinner and have a dining hall. So the whole mix of those. But at one of the more basic ones, we were graced with a couple of peacocks. So that was pretty fun. This peacock just walked into the campsite and hung out with the kids. Working our way down the west coast of the South Island eventually brought us to the Cook Glacier. This glacier is rapidly receding and is much smaller than it was at the beginning of the 20th century, but it is still pretty impressive. And in fact, there's a clip a little ways in here where a helicopter lands on the glacier, and that gives you a sense of the scale because the helicopter just looks like a speck. So it's still pretty impressive, and we lucked out a lot with the weather. It's kind of rainy and foggy as we were hiking in, and then once we got to the end of the hike, where you can actually view the glacier, the sun came out, clouds moved out of the way, and we just had a beautiful view of the glacier. And along the way, we got to see the different terminal moraines, lateral moraines, medial moraines, so we kind of had some earth science geology talk on the way into the glacier.
It works, though. Not very
The campground in Franz Josef was one of those more posh campgrounds I talked about, so we had fun tooling around on bikes and playing on the playground, and it also gave us great access to Lake Matheson. Lake Matheson is just a couple-minute drive from the campground, and it is a short walk to get around the lake, and there's a gorgeous viewpoint where kind of where you're standing, you look across the lake and up at the Fox Glacier, and if the weather's right, it's reflected in the lake, and we lucked out again, and it was just a beautiful spot.
Hi.
Typically, the Fox Glacier is accessible just like the Cook Glacier. You can drive pretty close to it, and then the walking trails there, and you can go up and get a good view of it. But 1 month before we arrived in the area, there was a massive landslide near the Fox Glacier, and a huge amount of debris came all the way down and filled in the river and covered parts of the road and destroyed parts of the road. So the Fox Glacier is not really accessible anymore. But we did this hike where you could see it from a different point, and also we scrambled down to check out the landslide, and just the destruction of it is just amazing. The destruction is just incredible. So up there is the mud, kind of the beginning of the mudslide. All of that was released. And then I'm in the middle of the aftermath. As can happen, some of the most basic spots where you're really roughing it are also the most beautiful. So this campsite we came upon had no facilities at all, but boy, what a setting. we drive down this little dirt road and park right next to the lake, look across the lake up at these snow-capped peaks, even though it's summertime. So Sawyer stripped down and went in the chilly water, but beautiful spot right here, even though there was not much there. Traveling inland on our way toward Christchurch, we went through Wanaka, and we read about this spot called Puzzleworld. It's an interesting spot. You should definitely check it out if you're going inland and going through Wanaka. The founder was really into puzzles, and so when you go in to buy your tickets, there's all kinds of tables with little tabletop puzzle games on it. Kind of the classic one where you have the two horseshoes with a chain together and the ring that you got to get off. A lot of games like those. But also once you're into this spot, there's a lot of optical illusions, rooms that are painted in a certain way or tilted in a certain way. And then outside there's a huge outdoor maze that we did as well. So Puzzleworld is a fun spot. Check it out.
Do you want to try, sir? Oh my God! Try to stand straight up. Be like, oh yeah.
Our good friend Caleb flies with the Air National Guard, and the Air National Guard on their way to Antarctica stops off in Christchurch, New Zealand. So he had some good tips for us in Christchurch, and one was the Antarctic Center. This is a cool museum, really interactive, and they have some displays on early expeditions to the South Pole. They also had a storm room where you could experience a winter storm similar to what it might be like in Antarctica. They had some cool cold weather gear that you could try on, and they also had some Haglin all-terrain vehicles that they would give you a ride around on this closed course. So we enjoy the Antarctic Center. It's a cool spot in Christchurch. Thanks, Caleb.
Come on down. It's got easy.
I will be your tour guide for today.
Inside the vehicle, you will see the neck hill. Look at the vehicle. Like the original is wide. About the limit of the vehicle. The base disappearing behind us or beneath us.
I don't think it's really started yet.
Oh my God, it's freezing!
Hang on, it's gonna be stormy.
Really
Yeah.
Save you from the storm. I'll save you.
Here we are, braving the Antarctic storm.
Feels like home! And I'm wearing flip-flops.
that ice cream, buddy.
Good.
Another good tip from Caleb was to go out to the Godly Heads. This is a park not too far from Christchurch, and the coastline really wanders in and out. And you drive along this winding road with steep hillsides right down into the water, and hillsides up above you where sheep are grazing. And eventually you get to the end, and from there you can do a short 15-minute walk maybe up to the top. And just gorgeous views all around. You can see all the way back to the Littleton Harbor, out to the ocean. So beautiful spot, Godly Heads. Thanks again, Caleb.